So, Marina, tell us about what's been going on in your life. And I know there has been a big milestone that I've been waiting for a long time, and definitely you've been waiting for a long time. So, please share what has been happening. And if you haven't seen it already on her Instagram or on my Instagram, please.
Yes, so last week, I mean, this week, kind of, I launched my first book, All the Lies.
Woohoo!
Thank you. It's been, I mean, honestly, I started writing it during this quarantine because I was like, well, I have so much knowledge from my own experiences and from what I've seen, and I can actually like put it in a book and make it more practical because exactly like this book is more like I would call it a self-help journal. So like you can ask questions and you can write right there. And for me, those questions were actually the questions I asked myself many times to actually get to know who I am and what I want to do with my life because I was in a, let's say, crisis. When, I was asking these questions, I was like, well, I don't even know what I want to do with my life. I don't even know what I like. I don't even know at the end who I am because all my life I've been like running after something like like let's say high school tests, uni, you need to do this and that. I didn't even know what I liked. I was like, well, I don't even know who I am. So kind of that's why I put this book together to help others who are struggling as I did to just find themselves. And it's actually really, I would say, an interesting, it's different than a self-development book because you can ask your, like, it's more practical and you can ask yourself these questions and you can actually keep it as a journal if you want. So it's not like you read it and that's it. You can always come back to those questions and those scenarios, I would say.
That's amazing. And you know what? Like, of course, if you're in your early 20s or in your high school years, this is a perfect like journal slash book. But I think that it's also perfect for people that are older. Why? Because there's so many people waking up and they're like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm not happy. This isn't the life that I wanted to live. Like, I'm not, fulfilling my dreams. So I think it's important for everyone. I would do it like a little, you know how you do cleanses, like in general, like body
Yeah.
cleanses, and drink like juices and stuff like that. Like that's the same kind of cleanse you need to do for your mind and your mindset and your spirit. So when you take that time to go through this journal and put all those questions, you're kind of like cleansing and taking out the things that you don't need and the negative mindset, and building and putting the basis and building a new mindset that is gonna elevate you at any point you are in life. It doesn't really have to be if you're 20. It can be you at 40. So I think it's a universally um, amazing book. And I'm going to gift this book to a lot of people from now on because it needs to, I think it should become a staple in anyone's library,
I
the way
wish.
you buy a journal, and you buy a book, you buy this journal and book together, and then you just build on your dreams. And of course, that book is not the only thing that you need, right? So you're gonna have to go and
Um,
and apply the things, right? But at least you're getting practical, and already by writing things down in the journal, you're already getting accustomed to the practice of the things that you read.
Yeah, I agree. And like I think journaling itself is so important because you come to terms with your emotion. And that's what also helped me. I was like starting to write everything on paper and actually seeing what's going on and what do I like to do. And then I actually realized I love to write. So, that was kind of it for me. But it was also like practicing and actually understanding what I want to do. And especially at a young age, you now have the power to decide. But also, if you're older, if you're like waking up and you're realizing, well, that's, this is not my life, and then I want to do something else, for sure, you can always start over. Yeah, it's just, I would say, a more practical, condensed self development book, kind of.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people that are maybe thinking of a journal or a diary, they're like, or are we like 8 years old, 10 years
Yeah,
old? And you know what? I used to keep diaries. I don't know about
me
you,
too.
but I
Yes.
used to keep them not religiously. Like I would, write for a few days, then I would remember a
Yeah.
year later. But I used to keep diaries, and somehow whenever you write in your diary, it makes you feel so good afterwards. Like I remember the feeling where, when something would happen, you would be like, oh my God, I can't wait to come home and write in my diary.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same kind of thing. Just that when we're adults, we can be super strategic about our diaries and our journals, and we can actually use them as tools to let go of things that no longer serve us. Like I was actually having a call yesterday with some of the people that I'm coaching, And I was telling them, I'm actually coaching them in the coaching business. So I was telling them, listen, you work with a lot of people now, and it's going to be tough sometimes. So you need to like cleanse, especially when you work with people, you need to cleanse that energy.
Yeah,
I was like, take out a journal. Everyone was looking at me like I'm crazy. I was like, take out a journal and write down all those emotions that maybe didn't serve you, because if you don't, you're going to keep them in, and then you're going to lash at someone that did not deserve that kind of behavior
yeah,
from.
exactly.
They're completely, harmless, and they haven't done anything. And that applies to business, that applies to relationship, that applies to friendships, anything. Write things down. And if you have a tool like Marina's book, then that just, I love promoting Marina's book. So if you have that tool, then it's just going to make life easier. It's just like a guide.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite part? Like what's the main part of the book that you think is the most helpful, or has helped you the most?
I think so because so it's based in it's like in three parts. And so the first part is more like it's more like general, and then we have like friendships and relationships. And for me, like the first part is the most important one because you have like a general overview of like self-love, self-care, like confidence, and all of these things that kind of blend together. They're going to make your journey overall. So I think for me that was the most important part to write, and to actually look back at my experience and what I've did and what questions I've asked myself in those times and how they worked for me, because all the questions are kind of like exactly what I did, and if those questions worked for me, then I put them there. So it's more like from experience.
Awesome. So what impact do you want this book to create?
I want people to find their why ultimately, like find why you want to do certain things, because it's easy to say, I want to make money because everyone wants, but it's like, why? And also how? It's more like, okay, I want to make money by selling books, or I want to make money by becoming an entrepreneur, doing, I don't know, selling something. But it needs to be very specific, because if it's not specific, then you're waiting for something that is so broad and you don't even know where to go exactly and how to approach it. And by finding your why, so why do you want to make money? Maybe to help other people, maybe to inspire other people, maybe to like bring some things that are new. And it's just, yeah, so it's finding your why and finding who you are at the essence.
That's very nice, and nicely put, because at the end of the day, this finding your why is super crucial. And I think you said, finding the how as well. Sometimes, unfortunately, people don't find their how and they get discouraged. But you know why you don't find your how? It's because you're not in action. So once you found your why, like for example, my why, the reason why I want like financial freedom, independence, and things like that, is because number one, I want to travel the world. Like I really want to do that, and I want to be a present mom, which for many people it might sound, we're in 21st century, but for me that's a very big thing. I really want to be for a few years, a stay-at-home mom that takes care of my kids, that gives them, all the attention and all the care, because I really want to take my role as a mom in the future very seriously, and try to, mold as much as I can those kids, and make them amazing human beings. And then my third why is because I really have this charitable project that I want to do, and it's been on my mind. It's always on my mind, but I just need to have the capital to create that,
Yeah.
or have the connections to create that. So there's three big whys that I have, and those are the ones that drive me every day. Now the thing is, I have my how, I have my vehicle, and I'll probably find more helpers along the way. But for those that don't have a how, I would suggest, find your why, and then just get immersed in something. Take a course, listen to a seminar, meet with people that could become your mentors, you know, read. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do, and be open to it. And once you know that once you put things out into the universe always delivers you, signs and guides, but you have to be open to it. So find your why, write down what you want to achieve and where you want to go, and then things are going to align as long as you get a little bit in action, right?
Yeah, I agree. And it's also listening to your intuition. So if something, you find your why and there's something that pops in your head of how you can do it, just go for it and try. And I think the advantage that we have in our 20s
Yeah.
especially is that we learn from experience. Like, it's like we can fail and learn and go, like, learn again and do stuff again. So I think that's super important. It's just we have the time, and even in your 40s you have the time, even your 50s, you just need to try. But I know when we get older it's a bit more riskier, especially if you have like a family, but it's just like you can create your life anytime.
So that's why if you're listening and you're in your 20s, don't be scared.
Yeah.
It can be super scary, like some decisions that I've made, and I think Marina as well. We've made some decisions, especially in the past year, that maybe weren't, let's say, the safest, or they weren't the most common, compared to our friends. But we did them because we felt like there was something else, there was something more, there was something else that we wanted to explore, right? So don't be scared, because you have this leverage and this advantage, especially if you're not married and you don't have children, to actually go for anything that you want to go for, and try things that scare you. Because then Gary Vee had this really funny video advice to 20-year-olds, when he was saying something like, now's the time, to share an apartment with like 10 people, to not spend money on expensive cars and watches, because then little Sally comes along and she is coming to you and being like, take me to practice, take me to, like, I don't know, ballet practice or something like that. So until Sally comes into the picture, we have time to really explore everything and not even spend money on things that are not necessarily going to help us evolve, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, buying an expensive car is great, but I don't think it's necessary. You could actually put that money and invest it in something else that is ultimately going to bring you more, you know,
Return. Yeah.
capital,
Yeah.
more return investment in the future, right?
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it all starts with you at the end of the day. So, you can, again, create your life. You have the power. And I think that's very important to always remember that.
You do, and I was telling you earlier that I wanted to discuss this, but
Yeah.
a phrase that I've heard recently, and it really upset me. Like it was actually when I was in Sweden a few days ago, and I talked to my friend Hannah about it, and it really upset me when I heard this someone say, "When will the sun shine on my street?" I just like looked at that and I was just like, wow. I mean, I think I had this attitude a while back too. Like I was always thinking like, when are things gonna change? Like when am I gonna, get what I want? Like why is everything going wrong? There's this very nice quote, I think by Jim Rohn. It's, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. Unfortunately, let me tell you, the sun does not just magically shine on your street like out of nowhere, especially if you live in Sweden, right? Right now, the sun basically does not shine in Sweden that often, right? So imagine if Swedes were just waiting around for the sun to shine. This is like, I'm talking metaphors right now. You get what I mean? But imagine if they were waiting for the sun to shine. Would they ever get things done? No. The truth is, I personally don't wait for the sun to shine. I get a ladder and I climb and I make my way through the sky and I pick that sun up, even if it's burning or it's burning my eyes or it's burning my hands, and I bring it on my street. And sometimes I fall down the ladder and sometimes I get seriously burned, but I bring that sun on my street. So we can't wait for the sun to shine on our street. We have to make it, and we have to